Vietnamese wedding customs in the late 19th century. Hello, friends of the Cultural Discovery Channel. Today, I'd like to introduce you to the traditional Vietnamese wedding customs from the late 19th century. Through this topic, I hope to help you better understand Vietnamese culture, both past and present. But before we begin, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps it grow and motivates me to keep sharing more stories about Vietnam's rich cultural heritage. All right, let's dive into the wedding traditions of 19th century Vietnam. Historical background. In the late 19th century, Vietnamese society was still deeply influenced by Confucianism. Marriage was not simply a matter of love between a man and a woman. It was considered a union between two families, meant to honor the ancestors and continue the family bloodline. At that time, sons and daughters had no right to choose their partners as they do today. Marriages were arranged by the parents, often through matchmakers, and followed the strict traditional rituals known as the six marriage rites, luk lei, a system rooted in Chinese ceremonial culture, but adapted into Vietnamese customs. The main moral standards, proper social status, talent and beauty, 4 virtues, and 3 obediences, were the key criteria for choosing a bride or groom. The 6 traditional wedding rites. Although some regions simplified the process to 4 or 5 steps, the basic order and meaning remained consistent throughout the country. First, lễ nạp thai, the betrothal proposal. This was the first ceremony, where the groom's family sent a matchmaker to the bride's house to express the marriage proposal. If the bride's family agreed, the matchmaker would formally deliver their consent. The offerings were simple: betel leaves, areca nuts, tea, wine, and cakes, symbolizing a respectful introduction. At this stage, the two families did not meet directly. Everything went through the matchmaker. Second, lễ vấn đan, the name inquiry. The groom's family would ask for the bride's full name, date, and hour of birth to check whether their batu, 8 characters of destiny, were compatible. It was widely believed that if the ages clash, the marriage will not last. The fortune-telling and horoscope reading were carried out by a geomancer or a spiritual master, considered an essential step. I'll share more details about how the batu is read in another video. Third, lễ nạp cat, the engagement announcement. If the couple's birth charts matched, the groom's family would send a small gift to announce the good news, that the two were fated and compatible. Once the bride's family accepted the offering, it meant they officially agreed to the marriage. From then on, the girl was considered spoken for and had to preserve her virtue carefully. Fourth, lễ nạp thai, the formal engagement. This was the most important ceremony before the wedding, representing the groom's family's sincerity. They brought a variety of gifts: betel nuts, tea, wine, cakes, roasted pig, clothing, jewelry, and a written marriage contract. All the trays were wrapped in red paper and covered with red cloth, symbols of prosperity and happiness. Both families gathered before the ancestral altar, offered incense, bowed to their ancestors, and formally introduced themselves to each other. Fifth, lễ thìn kỳ, choosing the wedding date. After the engagement, the two families would choose a lucky day and month for the wedding ceremony. The selection was made by a fortune teller based on the bride and groom's birth years and the lunar calendar. Sixth, lễ tân nghinh, the wedding procession. Early in the morning of the wedding day, the groom's family, led by the matchmaker and accompanied by relatives, musicians, and a flower palanquin, traveled to the bride's home. The bride wore a traditional 4-panel gown, áo tu thun, with a pink silk belt and a black headscarf, while the groom wore a black silk robe, áo đai the, and a round turban, khăn. After bowing to the ancestors and the bride's parents, the bride was covered with a red veil and escorted to her new home. At the groom's house, the couple offered tea and wine to the ancestors and parents, symbolizing gratitude and unity. That afternoon, both families held a wedding feast, inviting neighbors, relatives, and friends. Now, Let's take a look at a black and white clip filmed by a Western cameraman. Though the quality isn't great, it gives us a glimpse into the procession of a traditional Vietnamese wedding. Seventh, Lay Tam Nhut, the 3-day visit. 3 days after the wedding, the newlyweds would bring small gifts, cakes, tea, betel nuts, to visit the bride's parents as a sign of filial respect and gratitude. This was the final ceremony, marking the enduring bond between the two families. Cultural significance. All these rituals took place in front of the ancestral altar, with incense, bows, tea offerings, and gifts exchanged in solemn respect. Throughout the village, the sounds of drums, flutes, and traditional folk songs, Quan Ha, Trong Quan, and Jiao Duan, filled the air with joy and reverence. A Vietnamese wedding in the late 19th century was not merely a romantic affair. It was a profound reflection of filial piety, morality, and family order. Every gesture expressed respect for the ancestors and the importance of family harmony. Even though personal love often came second to social duty, the marriage remained pure, simple, and sacred, a symbol of the beauty of Vietnamese tradition. Dưới đây là bản dịch chuẩn giọng Anh Mỹ của đoạn bạn gửi, tự nhiên, cảm xúc và phù hợp để đọc kết video hoặc bài thuyết trình. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video until the end. I hope that with each passing day, you're discovering a little more about the rich culture and warm-hearted people of Vietnam. In the next episodes, I'll continue sharing stories about the great figures of our nation. Stories that I believe will help you understand even more about the spirit and culture of the Vietnamese people. And one day, when you visit our country, I truly believe you'll be able to feel it. Not just see it, but feel it in your heart. Thank you once again, and see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support gives us the motivation to keep creating more meaningful and inspiring stories about Vietnam. Thank you very much. Bạn có muốn mình giúp phiên âm chia nhịp đọc tự nhiên, voice over style để bạn thu âm dễ dàng và truyền cảm hơn không?